content warnings are in the description. Be good to yourself. Vampires don't dream.
Despite the settings.
There's other things other than us.
Prince Alec Cross has met the final death.
What's an oculus?
City erupted into an ocean of light.
I don't really know who I can trust at this
What does
point.
freedom mean to you?
I don't need a babysitter to find the key.
I think we're in the portal already.
It'll open when it's time.
Right upon
How
knowing.
did it know my
Just wish I could be a fucking nobody again.
Fell out of the sky, got
Those that
lost.
be, there are three.
crazy fans? Am I right?
The most powerful Kindred was not in control of this situation.
Don't quit on me, Lucas. Don't quit on me.
Melody, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Because I thought I'd be safe.
Not one of you, not one of them. What the fuck
You're one of us.
Killing Ajax? I say that we go that far.
There is no friendship after being embraced.
It's not something I'm going to give up on.
You heard from my mom at all?
It's all really exciting.
There are worse
isn't it?
things
Isn't
than
it?
death.
Step into my office.
Are you gonna finish it?
Don't do it!
The
Don't do
oculus is
it!
the midnight door.
What's its will? What does it do?
You're not our managers anymore.
Made me into your fucking monster.
There are three of them.
Sooner or later, you get torn at the seams.
How much do you guys know about Barry?
You've seen the lights. I see them too.
How do you know we've seen the lights?
Whatever you need,
The
Teddy.
lights.
At some point, I'd need to take a side.
What are they gonna
Nancy.
do with Ash?
Danny.
Where's
Lila?
Toby?
Looks like you're dripping.
Hedgehog.
I was just trying to do the right thing.
Never getting out of there.
How was my mother involved?
Siren, wedding, a tower.
There are three of them.
He used you to get to me?
Yeah, I ain't Melody.
Family.
I don't know where Nancy is.
Your daughter?
To the unknown.
It's not real.
You are not real.
Please don't say that to me. I just want you back.
If you guys bring that stupid computer, it's the last thing we do together.
You would do it for her.
So make your choice.
I'm going home.
I'm going to do it for mine.
Every step, we're thrown back down the stairs.
Vampires don't dream.
The midnight will be done.
Vampires don't dream.
There are three of them.
Vampires don't dream.
Vampires.
Vampires don't dream.
Vampires don't
Vampires don't dream.
Vampires
Vampires don't dream.
Vampires don't dream. Vampires don't dream. Settle down. Everyone, please, settle down. I understand. You're confused. You may be scared. We need peace and quiet. We need to talk about this.
What were those five doing in my head? That is what I want to know. Huh?
Yes.
That little shit rag keeps showing up.
I've spoken with some of you. I understand that there may have been some shared qualities among the experience we all just had. Did everyone else see what Olga and I saw?
Yeah.
I think so.
Maybe some of us saw something different. I don't know.
Lou, don't be coy.
We all saw those five from Magnolia going through the door, and we all saw that they were planning to promise it to me.
Well, the interesting thing is, Vivian, I never saw anyone hand the reins of this conversation to you.
Feel free to take the reins, Victor, if you'd like to crawl out of your hole sometime this year. That's what I thought. Now, that doesn't have to mean anything right now.
It doesn't.
It doesn't mean as much as you think it does, Vivian. You know, you may not be the only person who had some friends go through the door.
Excuse me?
Well, I have a shadowy little sparrow in my allegiance who also may have stepped through, right, Olga?
Who doesn't have their hands in some sort of proverbial pie, as the Americans say?
Jazz has been spending a lot of time in this brawl. I can't guarantee that's what she's doing down there, but it makes sense.
Thank you, Grunch.
Oh, are you keen on my relationship with my sparrow, Granch?
You two have been in Seattle for a very long time, but I've been here too.
You also have a tendency to get into places where you don't belong.
You know what that's like, wouldn't you, Goga?
Are we sure they're okay?
Who gives a shit if they are okay?
I'm sure Chaz is doing fine. You're confident in your La Sombra, yes?
I'm very confident in my people.
They're competent people, Asher. They'll be fine.
Okay.
Grunch, you said you had something to tell us?
I understand with the Magnolia coterie going through the door, there's a lot going on, but we got bigger fish to fry. My guys had told me that as soon as they went through that door, the kind in Seattle dropped.
Dropped? What do you mean dropped?
Knocked out. I can't explain it.
Oh,
Intriguing.
interesting.
So rather than worry about the door, I say we'd figure this out before the Second Inquisition and the Ivory Tower comes knocking on ours. Or else we're not going to be able to do anything about this.
Most likely, but knowing the cause is going to be the most important thing. You say it happened as they walked through?
As soon as we started dreaming, Nobody else got up. It's all over the news. I've never seen a breach like this before.
Shit. Asher, you're on socials. Is it true?
Go on, Asher.
Well, no one's tweeting anything, so I would probably say yes.
Damn it. Okay.
When has anyone ever been on Twitter recently?
I thought its name was changed.
So, sounds like we need a leader. Such a shame, the predicament that we're in right now, having held up everything for that.
Of course. Such a shame. That what you want then, Lou? You want to call a vote?
Oh, a vote? Well, that'd be wonderful. Don't you all agree? A vote would be nice. Establish some stability in this trying time.
Whew. Yeah, a vote.
Thank you, Asher.
Is now really the time for that?
Of course. We need stability. We need a leader.
And I suppose you think that leader is you.
I'm not saying anything. I'm saying that collectively we need to work together.
I suppose we might as well. This door business, as you said, is I suppose a little less pressing.
See, we're thinking on the same page, Goga. Isn't that nice?
Yes, Lou. I'm sure we're thinking on the same page.
Right.
Fine. A vote. Clan rules? You'll all gather your clans. What's left of them?
Maybe a brief recess, because, I mean, the last few minutes have been so strange.
But why?
What's the holdup, Asher?
I just think maybe cooler heads would prevail.
Are you suggesting we don't have cool heads?
Asher's right. Let's take a recess, confer with your clans, and then we'll come back for a vote.
A quick vote.
A quick vote.
Yes, I'm eager to come back. Sorry.
I'm sure it'll go fast.
I'll tell Leslie to gather my guys.
Thank you, Crotch.
Wonderful. Can't wait.
Neither can... Oh.
This is gonna get worse before it gets better. But we need to keep it together. Unless we want this city to burn down for the second time. Dawn has no meaning here in this synesthetic kaleidoscope of color and sound. Flighty lights flicker at the edges of your vision, fractal fireflies flitting to and fro. Pink, green, yellow, red, blue, orange, purple. A prismatic cascade outshadowed by the grasp of this fiddle-black void, this midnight well, this wretched requiem. Your coterie mates are nowhere to be seen. The changelings are nowhere to be seen. The door is nowhere to be seen. You are nowhere to be seen. There is nothing to be seen. Only felt. That's the word. You feel your heart beating not in your chest, but in your memories. You hear it pounding all around you, haunting you, taunting you with the life you will never have, the life you cannot remember. The smell of sewage and seawater gives way to the grit and the grime of Seattle's streets, the exhilarating tang of ozone in a thunderstorm, the crisp, cold clarity of a snowy day, the ceaseless smolder of magma deep beneath the surface, the taste of iron on your tongue, the kiss of sunlight on your skin, fire, flood. Whispers of other worlds surround you, overwhelm you with sensations you cannot remember. They are beckoning you. You are beckoning them. Whatever you expected to find here, this cannot be it. This was always going to be it. This has to be it. This was never going to be it. Is this it? The petals in your pocket anchor you in this endless oblivion. Whatever else you were promised about this place, you can't remember. But the petals, at least, persist. That's the word. That's what you do. Halfway between life and death, you persist. Your memory stretches back, conjuring you to lives you did not lead. A painter in a glass room. A teenager working at a movie theater. A miner caught in a roaring inferno. A stowaway on a rotting ship. A hunter stalking deer through the brush. Anamnesis. Lives unlived. Reflections in the pavement. None of this is real. And yet, you're certain you must be awake because vampires... Well, can you even be certain of what you are? Can you be certain of anything in this space? You can't remember what you used to be. You are awake, but asleep. You are infinite, but ephemeral. You are dead, but you are dreaming. Yes, dreaming. That's the word. It has to be. Sky Swanson. What does Reggie dream of?
For Reggie is dreaming about really the last time they felt safe, I want to say. Because, it's been 2 years since we recorded this podcast. And that was the thing that Reggie had on her mind, was this feeling of, oh, I need to be safe. So Reggie is in a shelter in the middle of the city, the Novak Youth Shelter, which, like any shelter, isn't perfect no matter how good the intentions. But right now, Reggie is in the back, in the kitchen, where only volunteers are usually allowed. And in front of Reggie is a squashed, greasy-looking burger with a single piece of lettuce on it, no tomato, the end of a ketchup bottle that had managed to get on there, and some, seasoning from whatever stew they were cooking up the night beforehand. And it is about as plain a burger can get, but right now it is the most delicious and wonderful thing that could be possibly placed in front of Reggie.
As you're enjoying your dinner, you feel a hand grip your shoulder, and you glance up into the face of an older man with a bushy mustache, short white hair. It's been cropped at the sides, and his face is just covered in wrinkles and smile lines. Mm-hmm. And he squeezes your shoulder. He says, Reggie.
Hey.
Hey, Reggie.
Hey, Mac.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Hey, thanks for the burger, man.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sorry that I'm so late. I mean, I know food was a while back, but man, I really appreciate this burger.
No, of course. We're here for you. Anything you want, anything you need. Just want you to get back on your feet, How you been doing lately?
I've been trying, man. I lost that job at that video store. Even though they needed a night guy, but couldn't. I kept missing day shifts.
Yeah. You've been staying off the drugs, right?
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, Mac. Yeah, I'm off of them. I'm off of those.
Yeah, Reggie?
Yeah.
You wouldn't lie to me, would you?
No, Mac. I wouldn't lie to you.
After everything I've done for you?
Well, yeah, you've done a lot, and I appreciate that.
Give you a home? I give you food?
Yeah, and it's great.
Give
I
you
love
opportunities. I put you in touch with people who can help you turn your life around, and you just throw it away.
I'm not throwing anything away. I'm trying right now.
Do you understand, Reggie, that you are your own worst enemy?
What? Hey.
Everything bad that's ever happened to you is because you refuse to get out of the pit you're in. What's wrong with you? You're pathetic. No, worse. You're a monster. And as those words reverberate, the scene around you cracks, shakes, flowers break through the floor, blooming and dying in the blink of an eye. The ceiling sags and crumbles as the entire building is driven through hundreds of years of ruin. The place collapses on top of you in a shower of dust and debris. And as you recoil and clear yourself, you hear thumping music. You dig yourself out of the rubble. You see that you're wearing a white suit. Your hands are strong, not marked by dirt, grime. There's a buzzing at the base of your skull. You enter the club floor. The lights are flashing in your eyes, kaleidoscope of color and sound. Everyone around you is cheering for their king. What do you do?
For a moment, just kind of like gazes down at their hands, like this full like peep show, like first point of view. And then Reggie just kind of like snaps their fingers together. They pull out like this little dime bag of just some sort of pills, and they toss it to someone in the room.
Woo!
Yeah. Snaps a finger and points at a person like next to them, basically inclining like get that person to take these fucking drugs.
Yeah.
And then we'll basically march out onto that stage, flipping everyone off. And it's all like in this like first person like kind of perspective.
Yeah.
And it's just like, who's ready to get fucked up?
You see through the dark haze of the club, the crowd parts, and someone muscles up to you. His face is a blur. Her clothes are indistinguishable, this shadowy amalgamation of someone who must have once wronged you. And they shove you in the chest, and they say, "Hey, Jack, what the fuck do you think you're doing?"
I'm doing whatever the fuck I want.
They reel their arm back to take a swing at you.
I think Jack like throws up his hands in genuine defense, and before that person can even land a hit, some huge bodyguard just grabs that person from behind and either holds them out of this scene and out of sight, or just has them restrained in this moment.
You see a hand emerge from behind and grab the shoulder as it's pulling back. This figure is yanked out of your sight line, and you recompose yourself and turn to go back on stage. But you can hear the sounds of flesh tearing and bones breaking as all of the patrons on the dance floor start to hunch over, their legs breaking backwards, their arms sprouting feathers, and they descend on the body of this aggressor like vultures, ripping and tearing the flesh from the bone. And you ascend to your granite throne. Casey Reardon, what does Mathias dream of?
We see a stage, not some rinky-dink rundown stage like the prop theater, a much larger stage in a much larger city. Crowd packed full, people doubling up on seats even just to get a glimpse of this performance. As Mathias, looking almost exactly as we know him, steps out on stage. The only difference being his eyes look a little bit less tired, and he starts to perform.
You see the crowd is awash with cheers and laughter oohs and ahs as their faces blend together, a mass of approval, of awe, of joy and light for you to drain them of and feed yourself, gorge yourself on their cheers. You pull birds from your sleeves, you flick 1,000 cards from a deck. You disappear, you reappear. The curtains seem to wave and flap around you as if they have a mind of their own, and emerging from the wings behind you is Georgia, looking the way she did the last time you saw her on stage. Radiant, beautiful, her dark brown skin, her hair pulled up in a bundle of colorful, starry patterned ribbons, dress sparkling in the spotlights, and she announces, "The marvelous Mathias Wilson." The crowd erupts in applause.
But I wouldn't be anywhere without my lovely assistant, Georgia Caraway.
You turn your hands to Georgia, and the crowd cheers, but then lets in a collective gasp. And you turn and you see that she is staring back at you with her hands clasped on either side of her face, glaring at you with the wide eyes of someone who has just seen a monster. You turn back to the crowd in a panic. The lights, now shining brighter than the sun, feel like they could burn your skin if you stay here any longer. You have to get out.
Mathias dashes off stage, out of the bright lights, and checks to see if he's burned anywhere, pulling off his white gloves.
You pull off your gloves, and underneath you see that your fingers are long, crooked, and knobbled with ugly black nails, grimy claws that could tear a man's eyes out. You touch your head, you feel all of your hair falling out as you run your hands through it. You rush to the back entrance, passing a series of twisted mirrors, and like a funhouse, you see herself distorted in them. A gruesome, rat-faced monster with spindly bat-like ears and huge crooked fangs jutting out underneath your lip. Your mother's laughter echoes through the twisting halls. Georgia stumbles out after you, calling, "Dove? Dove, what's happening?"
Stay away, Georgia.
She comes closer. She was never good at listening to you. And as she steps out into the hallway, you feel the bile rise in your throat, heat on your skin, the blood rising within you. You are hungry.
No.
You try to stop yourself, but you can't help but bounce forward, sink your fangs into her supple neck. She screams and withers away underneath you as you drain the life from her. You are left staring at her dead, glassy eyes, in front of thousands. And yet, isolated, alone, a rock in a dead sea of adoration that you will never feel again. Andrew Frost. What does Antonio dream of?
Antonio is not walking as so much as he's being pulled through a bustling crowd of people. The smell of cinnamon fills his nose as his wife brings him through the many stalls of Pike Place.
Christmas is in the air. Distant carols ring out over the city streets. Strings of fairy lights decorate the stalls. Even the sloshing of the bay against the waterfront seems to be in time with the music, the rhythmic drum played against the concrete. Thea is smiling, laughing, gesturing at all the lovely crafts and displays, the art pieces out here. She turns toward you, this beautiful woman with somewhat tan skin, her hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing a cream sweater, a thick scarf, and she pulls you forward, almost toppling you over the curb. She says, Tony, look, there's so much, every year I never get tired of it. They never had anything like this back home.
Really went all out on the lights this year, huh? Thank God I'm wearing my glasses.
Yeah, it's bright. It's almost like daytime around here. It's so gorgeous. I would be lucky to see one Christmas tree where I grew up. It's incredible. Oh, look, snow globes. She pulls you over to a stall where someone's set up selling handcrafted snow globes of Seattle, Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, Vancouver, down Portland, places in the surrounding area. Should we get one for the home?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh.
We already have one of Mount St. Helens.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like getting another mountain one would be weird.
Okay,
so
okay.
Let's get something to balance.
Let's get the Seattle one. I like the look of it.
Me too.
Oh. Do you think they have any, do you have any baby clothes, do you think? Christmassy stuff?
I'd hope so. It's the time of the year for it.
She looks around, scanning for clothing or hand-knitted hats and scarves, and as she does, a sinking feeling centers in your stomach. Because you never had a baby.
Ooh.
She disappears into the crowd as suddenly as she appeared in front of you, leaving your hand reaching out into nothingness. You've lost her.
Thea?
The crowd starts pushing in, bumping into you, pressing down on you, no longer delighted by the sights and sounds of Pike Place, but taking on the thrashing waves of a sea in a tempest. You smell the foreboding tang of ozone in a thunderstorm.
Woohoo.
It starts to rain. What do?
I keep pushing through.
Shove through the crowd, calling out for your wife,
Thea?
trying to see a glimpse of her sweater, her hair.
Thea!
But the mass of people gets thicker and thicker and thicker until they are no longer people, but just this undulating, pulsing sea of flesh and fabric. The individuality of each of these people completely gone. You realize the faces that you've been seeing are faces that you have seen. Memories of all the people that have come across your slab in the morgue. 1,000 dead bodies walking through the streets of the city. And as you push through the crowd to get to the other side of the square, you see Thea there among them.
Baby, what did they do to you?
She turns and you see that her jaw is hanging off of her head, her teeth have fallen out, her hair is patched and worn, her skin gray, decaying, as though it's been buried underground for decades. She tilts her head. Aren't you going to make me look pretty, Tony?
I hate that. Ew.
That's what you do with the corpse, isn't it? Make me look pretty, Tony. I want to be pretty again for you. She starts stumbling toward you, arms outstretched.
Antonio doesn't move.
She plants her hands on your shoulders, opens her jaw wide, as if to bite you, scream at you, vomit on you, you're not sure. Whatever it is, you would deserve it. You look into her eyes and you recognize that this is Theodora, a rotting corpse. Just like that, she fades away, like she was never there in the first place.
And Antonio's alone again.
Alone in an empty city, a dead city. You will walk these streets forevermore. Rachel Kordell, what does Mars dream of?
It is 1964 in Newcastle. A cozy house with the shutters open, a retiled roof now showing signs of light wear. Mary is standing in the foyer of their house right by the front door and calls up to her son Danny. Come along now, we're gonna be late.
They always start 20 minutes late anyway, it's fine.
Danny, down, now.
Okay, I'm coming.
She turns to the front door and opens it, and whizzing by her is Nancy.
I forgot my sheet music.
Grab it fast,
Danny,
fast, come on, let's go.
Danny, did you see my sheet music upstairs? He's young boy, round face, short, shaggy brown hair, comes stumbling down the stairs, messing with a tie around his neck. He said, no, I don't know where your stupid sheet music is. Oh, you always lose everything. And Nancy, a teenage girl with lanky features, dark locks spilling down over her shoulders, sighs in frustration, storms up the stairs to her room.
Mary puts her hand on the back of Danny's shoulder, gesturing him through the door, and steps through, looking out into the driveway.
You see the car pulling up into the driveway, tires crunching on the gravel, and your husband, David, hurriedly gets out, slamming the door behind him. This man your age with fair skin, short brown hair that comes up to a short cowlick in the front. He's hurriedly taking off his overalls from work and rushing in the door looking for his suit jacket. He shouts out, "Mary, hey, do you have coffee on? I need coffee before we go. I am baked."
Yes, of course. And she'll turn around and go to the kitchen, not before pointing at Danny and say, "Stay here, wait here, no, get in the car," and going back to the kitchen.
You see Nancy comes back down holding her sheet music. She's like, "I got my sheet music, but I don't know where my," and David holds out a small box that he has in his the pocket of his suit jacket as he's tucking it on, grabs it, he says, "Here, I got it right here, don't worry." She says, "Oh, thank you. Takes it out, puts on a small locket, a silvery sheen to it. You see Danny is heading out the car. He's like, "I don't know how to tie my tie," and David rolls his eyes and smiles, grabs him, turns around, starts fiddling with his tie.
Mary is fumbling with the coffee pot and quickly trying to make a cup for him, but she can't help but watch this all happen and feel happy to have them all there.
Brew a pot of coffee. You shove your family in the car. You speed over to the school. Nancy goes backstage to prepare for her recital. You sit next to your friend Florence, her daughter Mary, a young woman with blonde hair, smiles and waves at Danny as he sits down. He goes, "Hi, Mary." "Hey, Danny." And David clasps your hand. He looks like a completely different man with the grime of the factory washed off him in his suit and tie, and he smiles his perfect smile at you and kisses your cheek.
He goes to kiss her cheek, but she turns and kisses him right on the lips, just savoring the moment, the feeling of being in his presence. She squeezes his hand back and just takes in the scene.
You see Florence next to you go, "Ooh, I'm in public."
And she elbows Florence and just chuckles a little bit to herself.
The curtains are drawn, revealing a grand piano in the middle of the stage. Nancy quietly comes out, her head bowed, looking very nervous. She's clutching her sheet music and shaking, and she
I'm so proud.
Slides onto the bench, sets it down, starts to play, gets one note wrong, winces, stops, start over, plays. It's a little timid, but it's good. She's good.
I'm so proud.
Look over at David, he smiles. You look down at Danny, he's actually paying attention. And all the sound in the room starts to winnow down, get quiet. You can only hear that piano, soft, mournful melody. Another figure walks out on stage. Tall man, pointed beard and a navy suit. Marches confidently from the wings as though he owns this auditorium, he owns this school, he owns this city. Elliot sits next to Nancy on the bench.
I watch in horror.
He puts his hands over hers, and they start to play together. He guides her in the melody, adding harmonies, adding entire new movements. It starts to meld into something all too familiar. Screaming, the whining is flooding your senses. You can't hear anything else but this horrible, distracting, discordant fugue.
I can't move, but I want to.
Try and rise from your chair. You find yourself paralyzed. Try and scoot forward on the ground, and stronger arms grip your shoulders and hold you back. The entire crowd arises from their own seats. They collapse in on you. Foreign hands grasp at your body, holding you down, holding you back, prying open your eyes, closing your ears. Song continues. You see the joy in Nancy's face melt away with every passing note.
No.
Song comes to an end. Elliot and Nancy rise from the bench, come to the front of the stage, take their bows.
No.
Elliot smiles. Mary. It's so good that you finally know where you belong. Reggie.
Oh.
The faces swirl around you. People you've hurt, the people you've killed. You don't even remember their names. In the club, you see 2 pathways open before you. Behind you, spotlights, the stage, the throne, the power that comes with it. But across the way, through the little pinprick of white light, as the rotten flesh of that club goer melts before you on the ground. There is somewhere else. There is another home. Where do you go?
Reggie is standing there and at first sees this bit of light, and we see a little bit of Reggie as the form is that of Jack, but we see it in the body language of just a little hunched over, a little shaken, and they start moving towards that light. And as they move, I think some of those creatures that transform bones still cracking in the distance as it's sort of expanding outward and almost changing the interior of this entire place, they get out of the way. And I think there's a moment where Reggie takes a few steps and then just sort of holds up a hand, and we see several of these creatures reach up towards the hand. And Reggie gestures another direction, and they reach up, and then in a flash, Reggie just points at one of them, and several of them just pounce on this figure. And once again, it's bone cracking, sinew tearing, as we can only see sort of a little bits of it as a blood splatter goes across Reggie's face and a feather kind of falls down. And there's a slight smirk on Reggie's face as they just say to no one in particular, "Fucking monster? At least I'm not fucking dead. I'm not dust. I'm fucking staying. And you can't make me fucking run anymore." And Reggie turns around and starts walking back towards that throne.
Reggie Hale, for breaking our chronicle tenet and gazing too deeply into the abyss, I will give you 1 stain on your humanity.
Radical. We love it.
How many stains is that?
Well, we definitely need to go to the cleaner with Reggie.
Mathias, you stand on this bloodstained stage, George's corpse at your feet, in a room full of people that do not know or care who you are. You're not even certain if you know who you are anymore. But you feel a brief gust of wind caress the back of your malformed, pockmarked scalp. The theater has crumbled into dust, ceiling open to the night sky. Thick, bulbous vines are beginning to creep their way inside, snaking ever so slowly toward you, coming to your call. You smell the scent of sanguine pulsing through them like veins. Power. Control. They seem to whisper in your ears of all the promises that a dream can make. Will you stay? Will you escape?
I think in this moment, having just done what he did to Georgia and knowing that that is the power that it is offering, it is not something Mathias wants, and he is going to try and run from that power.
You sprint forward from the stage, tumbling over rotten wooden chairs and discarded fabric, bursting through the lobby and out into the cold night air of a city you do not know. And for rejecting the power this dream has offered, you will gain a point of humanity.
Oh,
What?
sucks to be you.
Ugh.
You said,
I
hey,
was-
kill that guy.
I was trying to be more human. That's human.
It's true, very human.
That's human stuff.
This is a normal guy doing normal guy things.
Antonio, you stand in a graveyard of forgotten souls. Everyone you've ever known or loved is dead. They don't know your name and you don't know theirs. You can't remember Thea's face. As you walk this desolate wasteland, ghosts howling in your ears, come to a fissure in the ground, and huge, craggy, molten tunnel that leads deep into the earth. You can hear them wailing. You can hear them calling out for help. But you know that just because it's where the dead go doesn't mean it lasts forever. Will you wander, or will you descend?
I don't know her face, but I know her name. I will enter the fissure.
You descend into the depths of the underworld. Hear the screams of the damned and the screams of the innocent, all echoing from the same pitiful well. You don't know if you will ever find her down here. But isn't it your right, your obligation, your destiny to try? And for breaking our chronicle tenet, staring too deeply into the abyss, will also give you a stain on your humanity.
Team Stain!
It's just a couple of dirty boys.
Just a couple of dirty boys.
Don't say it like that, please. Mars, you're not in control of your body. You're barely in control of your mind. Elliot stands before you on a stage, inches and miles away. One hand on Nancy's shoulder, her face turned down so she doesn't have to look at you and what you did to her. You can break free from this. You've done it before. You'll do it again. But if that means never seeing her again, never knowing where she is it worth it? Will you go to your daughter, or will you flee for yourself?
But he's right there. I don't know if I'm strong enough to fight him now. Does never mean never when you have eternity to figure it out. Are the people still holding me down?
They reluctantly let you go, leaving your skin bruised and pockmarked. And then it's just you and your daughter, and the man who has tormented you for decades.
This isn't over. I'll come back for you. I love you. And Mars will turn away and run for the light.
You turn, you flee. You might never see her again. Wasn't that already the case?
I will.
Do we ever have a promise of another moment? And for taking control of your own destiny, you will also gain a point of humanity. Mars, you emerge in A space that resembles the room that you just left. A stony, wet crossroads of sewage tunnels. Not quite the same. Proportions are different. Every time you look ahead, there's a different number of exits to the room. This is the dream. This is where you're supposed to be. What's your first thoughts, your first reaction when you emerge into this space free of whatever nightmare you just fell into?
Mars doesn't walk out of the door. She's sprinting. And I think once the ground changes and the water catches the toes of her boots, she trips and falls onto her knees. She's not crying, but she's shocked, and her assessment of the room comes as she looks up and tries to level herself with what she just saw, the decision she just made, a promise that could be empty. She feels confident, because she has to, and stands up.
You look up around the room, and even as the shifting nature of this dreamlike space continues to warp and distort, it imperceptibly fades into a facade, a recreation of Pike Place, that heartbeat at the center of Seattle. Shades of people walking all around you, but one of them is more solid than the rest. Tall, pale, bald, looking forlorn and lost.
I don't move closer, but I stand my ground. Hello? Hello?
Hey, did you find the castor sugar?
Did I find the... What?
I know your mom likes the pistachio ones, so I was gonna make them this year.
Antonio?
Do I recognize the voice?
In the way that everything in a dream is familiar to you, you do.
Antonio! Is that you?
I turned to follow the voice.
And you see Mars emerging from the crowd of shades.
What are you doing here?
She does look a little different. She's wearing a yellow sundress and a nice headband. Her hair is a little bit lighter than it used to be.
Do I perceive this?
Only when Antonio notices you do you perceive yourself in the sundress.
She looks down at it, surprised, and looks back to Antonio. What? We went through the door, remember?
A long time ago.
Sure. It doesn't matter, though.
It's freezing out. You're gonna catch a cold.
That's okay. Come.
And he's gonna take the scarf off of his neck and throw it around her shoulder.
Oh, thanks.
As the fabric crosses over your field of vision, both of you, when it moves on, the dream has again shifted, and you are standing in the lobby of a rundown, abandoned theater. And a gangly, rat-faced Nosferatu bursts in from the outside wearing a familiar wool coat.
No.
And with the familiarity of a dream, you can tell somehow that this is
Matthias.
What?
I think seeing the look on Mars's face instantly, I check my hands, my reflection in the water. No. I need to wake up. I need to wake up.
Mathias? Is that you?
Are you okay?
I don't know. I don't know what is and isn't anymore.
All right. Matthias, focus on my voice. This is a dream, but it's not. It's complicated. We're not.
This isn't a dream, it's a fucking nightmare.
Is it any different?
Hey, it's okay. It's okay.
Easy for you to fucking say.
Okay, what do you want me to say? It's not fucking okay, but we're here. So calm down.
Where's Reggie?
I haven't seen them.
As you think of Reggie, the scene shifts again. A little blood-soaked canary flits in through the door and alights on each of your shoulders. And as it flies out again, you're on the dance floor at Granite. There's no one else here. Only Reggie, slumped over an armchair, as if conked out on their drug of choice.
I think that you guys see this slumped over figure sort of in the dark, and yeah, they're just snoring loudly. Like the whole, it's just echoing, which is just the ultimate level of safety, that you could just fall asleep wherever. And the ground is just scattered in bloody feathers, but no one is there, particularly 2 large blood spots.
Yeah.
And as you guys get closer, maybe to Reggie or however you want to approach it, you start seeing that nothing is right about how Reggie looks. It's as if 2 people are fighting and emerging out of one body, and their face in particular is as if someone else's face is pushing out the top half of it, and the bottom half is cut along the nose line there, and it's Ajax's eyes and forehead, and the hair is patched along the side where they had that shaved side to their head, and what looks like feathers slicing through the skin in a geometric pattern can be seen on the back of Reggie's neck, but otherwise they still have their long hair, their short demeanor, though one of their legs is now longer than the other in also a grotesque fashion, and they're just passed out, just snoring.
Do I understand the implications?
I don't know that you understand the implications because this is a dream.
Okay.
It's hard to understand the meaning of anything in a dream, but you certainly understand the visual interpretation, that the source may not be clear, but you understand sort of the dichotomy that's happening.
I really hope he didn't do what I think he did.
Do we wake him up?
I didn't know you could sleep in a dream.
I didn't know any of this could happen in a dream.
I feel like your guys' voices alone would wake Reggie up. They're even in a dream are a light sleeper. And Reggie just kind of like cracks their neck and just like, hey guys, what's going on? Oh, shit. Mathias?
Reggie, you don't seem entirely yourself either.
I mean, hey, it's a nightmare. What else is new, right? First time? And Reggie just kind of like cracks their head, because Reggie has never had nightmares or dreams, but they have had horrifying visions for a long time.
Yeah.
I think Reggie right now just thinks this is another one of those visions, and it's just like, oh, cool, my monstrous friends are here. and just is like, yeah, I mean.
Are you okay? Is that comfortable?
For the most part, and they like hold up a hand that has 7 fingers because 2 have pushed through the middle of the hand.
Oh.
And they're just like, I mean, hey, we can still feel pain, right? We just can't dream, right?
I don't know if that's the case anymore, Reggie.
At least not right now.
Oh?
I think we'll find that circumstances have changed.
Ah!
What?
As you all turn over your shoulders, the scene shifts one more time. You all appear at the top of the Space Needle. Not in the lounge, on the very top, looking out over the city of Seattle that has taken so much from all of you and yet continues to provide. And you see the Sandman there at the edge, looking out over the lights, hands clasped behind his back. He turns with a brilliant white smile. You see the same young man with bronze skin and shaggy dark hair, but his clothes roll off of him like waves of ink. Oily rainbows reflecting in the wispy tendrils as they break away, forming shapes as if they have a mind of their own. And he kind of narrows his eyes at Mathias and Reggie. Let me take care of that. Kind of reaches out and, as if plucking an eyelash from your cheek, removes some distortion in this dream. And all 4 of you return to the way you were when you entered the midnight door. Mathias, you're back to your normal self. Antonio, no longer worn down by decades and centuries of wandering. Mars back in your rockstar attire, and Reggie back to just Reggie.
Hey, you got rid of the stain on my shirt.
Hey, where's Timothy?
You see the Sandman looks out over the city almost like he's looking to a specific place. But the streets and lights are too distant and capricious. Can't tell where exactly in the city he's looking.
But can I?
Even you, Antonio. You still have some instinctual connection to it, but everything is off. Like walking through your house in a dream, and nothing is where you remember it. It's like your city, it's a memory of your city, but
It's not the real city.
it is not your city.
We're not in Kansas anymore. Or Seattle, for that matter.
And he tilts his head and says, Timothy and Lila are elsewhere. Though I'm sure you'll run into them again.
Is he safe at least?
The two of them together, I'm not sure anything could pose a threat to them.
That's true. You think he kept his shotgun in the dream?
Certainly not with Evelyn and her cronies as piles of ash.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's a fair point.
I see that you all have gone through some difficulty to get here, and for that, I apologize.
What do you have to apologize for? Do you have control here?
I have influence?
Oh. So you did that?
No. No, Mars, I promise. Even in my own wildest dreams, I couldn't have come up with anything close to what you all just saw. I told you. I didn't know what would happen if a kindred walked through the door. But it was glorious.
So, what now?
Well, now, suppose you leave. If you need me, I'll be around. Maybe you'll see me in a dream.
That's it?
So we just have like a fucked up vision, and this is pretty standard stuff.
I think perhaps the four of you are trapped by perspective. Things have changed in the city you left. The door will remain. When you need it, it will come. You have the emerald that Lila gave you.
Yes.
You all reach into your pockets and take out the ground-up petals that Lila procured for you, and Sandman smiles and says, as a token of appreciation, from one dying breed to another. He again kind of waves his hand over yours, and the petals shift with a flash of light until each of you are holding a radiant golden key. And he says, a key can open many doors. Perhaps not all of them. So be judicious in your usage. Then he claps his hands, shows them like a magician, proving that there's nothing up his sleeve. Mathias, amateur technique.
I mean, basics are good, I guess.
He's got the fundamentals.
Yep.
He reaches into his own pocket and pulls out his own key, turns, and inserts it into empty space. Turns it, pulls back. A thin white rectangle opens at the edge of the needle. Hope you learned something.
You could say that. And Mathias will step through.
Mars just rolls her eyes and steps through the door with a sense of new purpose. Maybe renewed purpose.
I think Reggie would turn to Monsieur Sandman and just kind of like looking off in the distance that they gestured earlier, and she's like, and he's safe, relatively. I mean, he's gonna go through the same fucked up thing that I'm sure the rest of us went through, but he's safe, right?
He's safe. I promise.
And Reggie, without another word, will just walk through the door.
Antonio lingers behind for a bit. I guess fighting with himself whether or not to pry into Sandman more, or to be content with what he's seen so far. How deep does this go?
I don't know. I'm going to find out.
Let me know what you find.
Of course. I owe you Kindred greatly. And favors must be repaid.
Antonio gives a nod and walks through.
And so closes the first chapter of Season 2 of Midnight Gravity.
Woo!
Oh boy!
Seth was here the whole time. That's a big reveal.
My ass hurts. I've been sitting for a while.
Thank you all for listening. Before we get into the plugs, RP Jesters is collabing with Monument Studios Fantasy Plus. Fantasy Plus is an amazing soundboard for GMs with hundreds of original tracks and sound effects in several different genres. And if you are listening to this the day it comes out, their Kickstarter is ending this week on September 18th. They don't use generative AI or lock anything behind paywalls, so you get all of their music for just $4.99 a month. You've heard some of the tracks from their Occult Forces pack in this episode, and there will be more to come. Monument Studios is really just two people doing all this awesome work, so please go and check out their Kickstarter for Fantasy Plus. They really deserve your support, and they will really appreciate it. Would you like to plug for us, Plugmaster?
I'll plug you for sure.
Oh.
You like this podcast? That's a plugin. You comment on this podcast? That's a plugin. Leave us a review? That's a plugin. Maybe you want to interact with us on our many social media platforms? That's a plugin.
Plug until the sun goes down.
Check out my itch.io. I have a new game. It's called Neon Spider. It's a solo RPG where you play as a cyberpunk fixer and run gigs and do
there you
heists.
go, sweet child. Yeah, let them know.
Be cyber, do crime. Yeah.
Be cyber, do crime.
Let them know.
Don't like this new Plugmaster.
This is a chill Plugmaster.
I love him.
For our listeners in the New York City metro area, on Tuesday, October 1st at 7 p.m., we will be hosting a live show at Brooklyn Game Night in Industry City. Come out and see an interactive one-shot of Stars Are Dead and join Andrew, me, and some special guests in an out-of-this-world adventure ran by the marvelous Casey Reardon. Tickets are $12 at the door, and feel free to check out our social media for more information. You can check out RP Jesters and Brooklyn Game Night. That's Night with a K for all of that goody good stuff. Yeah, see you there.
I want to say I love Substitute Plugmaster. He rolls out the VCR, and we get to watch movies during class.
We get to watch a lot of plug-in.
I love the science guy.
You get to watch a lot of plug-in.
You guys want to watch Fantasia 2000? Or maybe maybe we can watch
Bill Nye? Bill Nye?
I wanna
West
watch-
Side Story. I think that's it. Yeah, West Side Story.
I want to watch Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
That's a great movie.
It is a good movie.
That's a great
It's
movie.
a good movie. Watch it on your own time.
Shout out to Michael, who rated us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts back in August 19th. But I also listen pretty much everywhere because this podcast is so good to listen to at any time, any place to get your mind off things and have a great life.
Aw, thank you.
buddy.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Michael.
Thanks,
Thank you, Michael.
That's a plug-in.
Michael's getting a plug-in.
Good night.
Good morning. Wow.
Every good morning's a plug-in.
Good morning is a plug-in.
Don't threaten me with a good
I've
time.
prepared myself
Good morning,
for this.
good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.